It was early morning in Afghanistan, and the temperature was already in the low 30s. We were trying to unload a generator off the ramp of our Chinook helicopter when the Automated Flight Control System, AFCS, started playing up. We had been having computer problems on this aircraft for weeks. So far, none of the maintenance guys knew what the problem was, but for the moment, the aircraft was still functional and within limits of us being able to continue flying. Our rotation of Australian Rotary Wing Group, RWG-12, had 2 aircraft in Afghanistan to assist the American Aviation Detachment operating out of Kandahar. It was imperative for our relationship with the Americans that we keep our aircraft flying as much as we could safely do so. Most flights had a few maintenance problems, and there was nothing to indicate this was anything more than another flight control computer problem. It was becoming clear, however, that we would need to shut down and have a look at the systems again as soon as practicable. Our aircraft captain, Smoot, was a veteran of several Afghanistan deployments, a very competent pilot, and this was his second tour as an aircraft captain. He vigilantly ran through the before takeoff checks in the cockpit and found everything to be within limits. Even so, he still wanted to check off with the crew. "Is everyone happy to continue with the AFCS issue?" Smoot called over the intercom system, ICS. This was the only way the crew could communicate over the deafening roar of the Chinook. "It's only a couple of miles to the next stop," he said. Using imperial measurement was at times confusing to outsiders, but it is the way all Australian crews trained when using American-designed aircraft. "Yep, it'll be fine to nurse it to the next stop," came Reedy's transmission from down the back on the ramp. The confidence in his voice was testament to his years of experience as an aircraft maintainer. "Once we shut down at the next joint, I'll jump up and have a look, but this place is not real safe for our aircraft," he added. Reedy was spot on. This was the kind of forward operating base, FOB, that didn't even have people on guard duty. It was done through cameras and remote weapon systems. Whatever was happening here, the soldiers didn't want to stick their heads over the wall to find out. Added to which, these lads had just received incoming mortar fire prior to us arriving. We really didn't want to stay here too long and attract another salvo. Smithy, who was on the left window minigun, and I looked at each other with that expression of, "I suppose so." We both double-tapped the press-to-talk switch on the ICS in the affirmative. Smithy was on his second tour as an air crewman, and although he was still relatively junior in his experience in the trade, he was a very capable crewie. He was clearly happy to continue, as was I. "All right, let's get going," Smoot insisted. "Ramp and cabin checks?" our flying pilot Mike called. Mike was an exchange officer from Canada, the French part. Sometimes it was hard to understand what he was saying, especially over the grainy electric hum of the ICS. Obviously, we named him Frenchie, and he was the butt of any jokes that had surrendering as the punchline. "Left gun," sounded Smithy. "Ramps up," confirmed Reedy. As the right side air crewman, I completed the cabin pre-takeoff checklist by confirming, "Set in the back." "Coming up," called Mike. Smithy and I confirmed we were clear above and behind, so we lifted off, nosing the aircraft over and rolling out over the outer wall of the FOB, but remaining at 50 feet, 15 meters above the ground. Popping up any higher until you were over the green belt would just make us an easy target for the Taliban. The FOB we were now flying to, Sakari Karez in the Kandahar province, had a large area to land. There, we could easily get our tradesmen in to help fix what we thought might be the problem with the Chinook. It was also significantly less likely that we would receive enemy incoming fire if we shut down there.